Hey, welcome back to the shop, everyone. Hey, Jerry here. We just got another saw in the mail just a few days ago. Now, you saw me a few days ago putting this Garwinner saw together. Now, this is a very good saw. I've taken this thing out. I've used it many times. It is, I want to tell you what, I'm very impressed with it, friends. How good a saw it is. There's be more to come. Got a few videos with it. But as you can tell, it's a pretty good saw overall. 62 cc's. We gave $117. Walmart's #1 selling saw, 62 cc Garwinner saw. It's comparable in the Stihl model. I'm a Stihl guy. I love my McCulloch. But it's over $1,000 for the same saw. I have taken this saw out and used it several times. Now, it's a Chinese saw. We're probably going to get what we're going to pay for. It won't last more than 2 or 3 years, but for $117, if you're on a budget, I'm not going to speak bad about this saw, but more to come. I got a lot more trial with this saw. But I want to get after that other saw right there in this box. Now, I got this saw in the mail the other day, and as I cut it loose, you know, I was needing I had said I need a little old tree trimming saw, a little old one-handed saw, something made to hold on to. You know, sometimes tree toppers use these top handle saws, but I was needing something, and you know, I've been kind of into trying these little old cheaper saws out just so I can let our fans know out there from someone who has been doing this for a long time, who teaches diesel technology, master ASE certified technician for the past 30 years, since the 80s. I've been working on heavy equipment. Now we work with a lot of power equipment, power sports equipment. And so I know a lot of you want to know about these saws. Did you see them on Amazon? You see them on Walmart? You see them on Temu? You see them on a lot of different places. But are they any good? I'm going to say some of them are pretty good. Some of them are terrible. I mean, you really get what you pay for. This is a VEVOR model brand right here, VEVOR. It's supposed to be a very good saw. I'm going to tell you how much I gave for it in just a minute. If you watched my other video when I was doing the Garwinner, I'm going to let you know. And I'm going to let you know exactly what I think about the saw, what I think about the construction. We're going to start it up. We're just going to do several things, friends, but I just want to give you the honest to God's truth on about these saws. So if you can save a little money and you're just kind of a handy person around the house, need to trim a few trees, maybe this is all you need, okay? But I'm going to get to you in the price. And when you hear the price of this compared to the price of the Garwinner $117 saw, which, friends, we could easily say that's over a $250 saw, real easy, okay? Real easy. I just got it on sale. It's Walmart's #1 selling saw. This saw also came from Walmart, okay? So, I'm sorry about the noise. The last few days, we've been getting wind. We've got 50-mile-an-hour gusts going right now outside, and that's the reason this building is popping and creaking and rocking and rolling. If it don't come down on me, I'll finish this video. If it comes down on me and they find this phone, it'd make for an interesting video too, friends. But just hang in there. No, it's well constructed. It's been through tornadoes. Here in Oklahoma, we've had lots of tornadoes. It's been through those. I have came out here and lashed these walls back together when they were flying out 3 or 4 feet from a tornado coming through. I've taken ropes and I have wrapped ropes around the walls and pulled them back into the pillars and tied them off. This shop has been through it all, so I got full confidence it's gonna hang in there with us. Okay, as you saw, it's a 12-inch VEVOR top handle chainsaw. Here's our bar cover. Here's a little tool kit. As you've seen on a lot of these, you know, they all got about the same tool kit, really. I mean, so could you say they're all made from the same manufacturer, or at least the tool kits are. We got a cute little chain here inside here. We will get out in just a minute. We're going to stick it over to the side. We've got some earplugs. Well, they gave us some earplugs, a couple pair. We've got our spark plug in our bar wrench. We have in here our bucking spikes that we'll have to put on. I'm going to stick those over here to the side as well. And then we got miscellaneous screwdrivers for adjusting maybe the high and low jet. if we don't get blown away. Sorry for the noise, folks. I had put this off for a couple days hoping. Here's the owner's manual. You may want to look at that sometime if you get a chance, but I think we can handle getting this together. All right, here's a little pretty cool little VEVOR sprocket tip bar, 12-inch. We got our handy dandy little fuel bottle. Looks a lot like little fuel bottle I got with the gar winner. So I'll just put those over here. Those will come in handy, by the way. A little fuel funnel. You can't ever have enough funnels. I can guarantee you that. And then, here we go. I think that's it. Pretty cool little top handle chainsaw. So let's look this thing over. Not bad. See here, friends, we got a little VEVOR 25cc top handle chainsaw. We got our gas on top, oil on bottom. We got a primer bulb right here. We got our top handle, trigger, on off switch. Choke is right here. And then we got our air filter cover. Now, I'll tell you, this is a little video, this is a little old lightweight saw. I mean, it's one finger lightweight, one pinky lightweight. This thing probably can't weigh over 3 or 4 pounds at the most. Brake. Let's have a look at it. Let's look here. We got our air cleaner back here. You know, folks, you know, we only give just a little bit of money for this. I'm not expecting great gangbusters over this, but what I am expecting, you know, that's not a bad little air filter. I mean, it's a little cheapy, but I'm sure there's upgrades for it. That's where it comes off. We want to make sure our little O-rings in place so we get a good seal. We'll stick this right back on here again. Let's see. We can get this started. There we go. Make sure, take our time. No sense in being in a hurry. The thing about it, folks, if we get in a hurry, that's when we start tearing things up. Now, I didn't give too much for this saw, but I mean, it feels like, I mean, it's pretty good. It's not going to just fall apart. It's not, I mean, it's a decent quality saw, but I still don't want to get rough with the folks. It doesn't matter. If you're going to pay your hard-earned money, I don't care what you pay. If you're going to pay your hard-earned money for something, just treat it right. Take your time. You know, there's nothing better than treating your equipment like it needs to be treated. Smelling in here, looks like it smells like it's been started. Either it's had fuel put in it. Now the gar winner had fuel, 2-stroke oil and fuel put in it. I could tell that, and I'm glad they did, because that means they started it before it left the factory. Now, if I'm looking at this, there's no oil in it was in the oil reservoir. So what may have happened is they may have started this, put some type of fuel in here just to start it, see, make sure it was going to start, or they may have filled it up with some type of petroleum, distillates, gasoline, or something. Alcohol, something, just to see if this case was going to seal. So, but it did have something. It did have something in it. Make sure the choke works, on-off switch works, primer bulb's in good shape. All right, let's go ahead and let's take loose our side cover so we can get our bar and chain on. Now, folks, this little old table, I'm going to tell you how you can build one real easy. As you can tell on top of this table, this is made out of a pallet, an old wooden pallet. And one reason is because pallets are strong, they're stout, they're already put together. All you got to do is put a piece of plywood over the top of them, and put you 4 legs and a few braces, and it works out really well. So as we take this off, we'll look at this side cover. You know, it's a lot like the Gar Winter, how they kind of put it together. I mean, it's a plastic case, but it's not terrible. You know, when I say it's not terrible, that's about as far as I go with it. It's probably not the best. It's not the greatest. I can tell you that from the material sitting here looking at it, but it's not junk. Okay, it's not terrible. That's what I mean when I say it's not terrible. I mean it's not junk. The little clutch, it's a kind of your lower of the line clutch, but it's not falling apart. It's not loose. It's not rattling. Things of that nature. I'm just going to go in here and make sure while I'm in here some of these inside screws are tight. Just saves us from later on having to tighten things up. Now these are going to be inch pounds. There's 12 inch pounds in a pound of torque, and so it doesn't take much on these screws. So I'm just kind of giving them a little bit, just making sure that they're tight. Here's the muffler. Okay, so let's get our chain out. Let's go from there. Let's see what we got. All right, there's only one loop in it. Let's see, not even a loop, really. All right, let's see what we can do here. Let's put this thing on straight. Make sure we got our chain going in the right direction. Okay. When we get this all on there, then we'll pull it out just a little bit. Make sure everything goes on there just like it's supposed to. Let's slide this back on. Now once we get to, okay, this has got two little catches back here. Now, again, they're plastic. Be careful with these when you put them in. Don't go beating on them. Don't pop on them, because this is all that holds your back here. But these aren't terrible. Again, you just got to take your time, know what you're looking at. That's why we're doing this ahead of time for you, to kind of let you see what we got going on. Learn from our mistakes as we go back together with it. Okay. Let's see what we got. A little bit of a catch. I think what we're going to wind up having is we're going to go in here to our adjustment, and we're going to turn it just a little bit to get it to line up with our bar. Okay, so let's come ahead. Okay. Now what it looks like we are going to have to, let's get a light here. We're going to have to screw our adjustment there we go. Okay. Again, friends, you just want to take your time. That's a real close tolerance between that little dog in there that goes inside your bar and slides it in and out when you turn your adjusting screw. It's a very close tolerance between the hole in the bar and the dog itself on this side cover. Now, if I'd have just got crazy with it, I have seen people get these nuts started and start cranking down on them thinking they're going to pull it in, and they wind up busting things. We don't want to bust things. You know, on these little cheap saws, a lot of times what it costs for parts is more than what we give for the saw a lot of times. So let's just take our time, friends, and be careful with it. Now we're going to go ahead and make the adjustment on this saw. Now if you'll watch that chain, see how I pulled my bar up just a little bit? I want to see just barely a gap, because when I let it down, it's probably going to be tight, okay? So, now we're still okay. I'm going to snug it down good. You know what I didn't do, friends? I'm going to take it back off. I didn't put my dog on there, and I definitely want it on there. Now let me see if I got some nuts. Okay, so we're going to take it back off. See what happens when you get in a little bit of hurry and you don't pay attention? It's just part of it, friends. But like I said, I'll let you see me make the mistakes. Maybe help keep you from making them later on yourself. So this all should line up though pretty good this second go around here, so we should be okay. You know those screws that I was tightening up? That's where these went. So we're going to go ahead and take this off. We're just going to let this chain slide down. And then we're going to put this thing right here is going to go right there. Now, there should be some screws in one of these, or maybe here they are. Little old bitty screws right here. So what we're going to do, I'm going to move this out of the way. We're going to take our dog. I'm going to take our little screw right here. And we're going to put it in there. Okay, the dogs are going to go facing up. Okay, not down. Tighten this up. Yep, I just got in a little bit of a hurry, friends. Just in a little bit of a hurry. Oh well, it's okay. You know how many times I've taken things back apart? Maybe that instruction manual I just chunked over there, if I'd have been following it step by step, how much on a bet it told me when to do that? But we're okay. We're all right. Okay. All right, friends, here we go. Back to where we're at. Back to where we're at. Let's set this over there. Let's put our bar on. Okay. Now it's going to be pretty close. I didn't back that all the way off. So when I put this on, it should be really close. Now, let's get the light. Let's check it out. Looks like we're just a little bit. We take this right here and we back at out just ever so slightly, maybe about like that. It should go. Yep. Should go. Uh-oh, not like that. Not like that. That is not the way. There we go. Just be gentle with it. Don't get crazy. It'll all be all right. Get all my trash out of the way. Okay. So, now let's see where we're at. Okay. I'm going to tighten up her nuts. Make sure she spins. You know, it might be a little bit tight. I generally don't like them starting off that tight, but I'm going to, you know, I'm going to back it off. I'm going to back it off. I could say let's just try it, and it would have probably turned, but right now, you know, our bars don't have, they're not lubricated yet. So without any oil on it, we can get a lot more wear. You see, oil, it's not always the more oil you got, the better it is. And for sure, the less oil you got, the better it's not either. It's just the right amount of oil. And generally what the right amount of oil is, a small film of oil between two pieces of metal is all you need. Oil is also used to take away not only the friction, but the heat. Oil helps dissipate the heat. So, with that said, we only need a thin coat of oil between two things to keep the friction down. Now, if this has got an adjustable oil on it, we may give it just a little bit more than that because I want something to also carry some cooling, take some heat off this bar and chain. Okay, so I think we're pretty good there. I'm going to go ahead and get some gas. Again, I apologize for this. If you can tell, we are being inundated here with a terrible wind, terrible wind. Okay, so let's just put a little bit of gas in it. It don't take a lot. 40 to 1 on the gas. You know, a lot of the oil and gas you buy, a lot of the mixes now, the synthetics, it says 50, 40, and 30. Now I think it's pushing 30 sometimes. 30 means there's more oil to that gasoline mixture. Got plenty of gasoline that time. So sometimes I may add a little bit more oil in with the gas, because honestly I'd rather have just a little bit too much oil than not enough oil and burn this saw up. So this is regular bar oil, which is equivalent to 30 weight pretty much. If you buy any bar oil at Walmart and places like that, that's basically what it is. Now it's not engine grade 30 weight oil to run in your vehicles. It's like this bar and chain oil, heavy duty bar and chain oil. This is SuperTech from Walmart, SA 30 weight oil. Okay, so just in case you're ever wondering, now we're going to go ahead and give us, I'm going to prime this primer bulb right here till I get gas. Now I got gas. I'm going to go ahead and give her 3 or 4 more turns. All right, friends, how many pulls do you think it's going to take? Go ahead and add down in your comments. I'm going to say 5 pulls, but I am going to make sure I got the switch on, the choke up, which I didn't on that gar winner. I'm going to make sure everything's right where it needs to be, and then we're going to give this thing a start. Matter of fact, I'm going to try to start it right here. See what we got. Choke up. When you pull the choke or pull the throttle, choke goes down. So don't pull the throttle if you think you're going to choke it, because then the choke's going to go off and you're not going to choke it when you're going to pull the throttle. So if you're going to choke it, don't pull the throttle. Okay? So primer bulb is full. Here we go. Woo! I believe if I'd got to that choke fast enough, 3 pulls would have had it. Here we go. 4 pulls! We'll see if it idles down, friends. That's not bad. That's not bad. Now I'm going to let it idle just for a little bit, because I think on everything, especially when they're brand new, you need to let them idle and you need to let them break in. You're going to have people tell you, and I don't know what it is a lot of times, but I do have to believe that there is people who are being taught right out there. But I have a lot of people now, and I've been doing this since the 80s, and I've worked for some major companies like Caterpillar, Halliburton. I've taught diesel technology, and I taught diesel technology in Career Techs for 12 years, Master ASE certified tech, and I'm gonna tell you something. You really need to let these things idle. Let them warm up. Let them break in. Don't believe when someone tells you can just go. You can go crazy and run it all the way up against the sky. You don't need to do that. Let it idle for a little while, friends. It ain't gonna hurt. 30 seconds, we can let it idle. This little thing. Hey, I'm gonna tell you, if this thing holds together, friends, for a one-handed saw to be able to hang on to, let's save out oil. It's oiling perfectly, friends. Now, friends, you saw me, you didn't see me struggle, but you saw me do a couple things I had to do again. Now, why was I able to do those again and not have any major issues? Because I took my time, okay? Now, all in all together, this thing didn't take 30 minutes to put together, coming out of the box. This saw right here will make you a good little saw. Now, time will tell. I'll come in here and I'll set the high and the low jet. I'll probably have to do that. I'll adjust the idle back down, and I'll show you how to set the high and low jet, as well as I will on this gar winner this 029, this XL 101, and then whenever I get me a bar from old Promax, we're gonna get it running too. But back to this saw, the little VEVOR saw, VEVOR saw, 12-inch, 25cc saw with a they call it ported exhaust. It just means it's a little bit more open, so the exhaust can get out, and that's how they get a little bit more horsepower, and they get a little bit. That's because they get a little more RPM out of it. Okay, and so this saw right here, I think this saw right here is like a 10,500 right out of 11,000 RPM saw, which was pretty good for this saw. Some of your Homelites like this, they have about 9,500 RPM saws. This is a 1969 XL vintage 101, one of the first XL 101s. Well, they actually came out in the mid 60s, but this is a 1969 model, and this is one of the lightweight saws. Okay, 12-pound saw. This saw is probably about 9,500 RPM. A lot of torque though on the low end, so it could turn 9,500. It could actually turn a little bit bigger bar. It could probably turn a 20-inch bar. It was low torque and it would go through. Now, it wasn't nothing that was just going to rip plumb through it unless you did a lot of work to this saw because of the RPM. But it had a lot of torque and it would go through a lot of big wood. Now, this saw here is a high RPM saw for what it is. I mean, it's not as high as some of your Stihls that race up there about 13,000, like your 500i saws and things of that nature. But this turns a pretty good little clip. This is good for one-handed saw. This is, I mean, two hands should always be on the saw. Don't get me wrong. I'm not advocating for unsafe acts, but if you got to get in there and you got to hang on to something and you're carrying this saw, it allows you to hang on. You set the brake on your chain so it's not turning, and it allows you to get through stuff. And it also has your strap right here if you're using this to climb and you're going up top of a tree and you're going to top it out. This is your eyelet for your strap. Matter of fact, I believe it is in here. Maybe it's in here. It may not be in here. Maybe they didn't send one. Maybe it never came with one. I don't know. But I will tell you, friends, let's try this one more time and see what it is. Let's try it again. It's that easy. I didn't even go 2 clicks and start it. There it is, friends. It's a VEVOR. I bought it at Walmart. Oh, and you want to know what the price is? Let's come up here and let's look at this saw one last time. All right, little VEVOR saw. Friends, what do you think I gave for it? One last time. Put in what you think. All right, here we go. I give $94 for this saw. $94 for this saw on Walmart. Not a bad saw at all. Okay? So $94. I think if it holds up from what it looks like, it's going to be a saw well worth it. So, hey, I appreciate you. Love your neighbor. Look for ways to help your neighbor. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe to our channel. It just helps us get it in the algorithm. I'm going to be doing a lot more of these type of videos. Hit the like button. Leave us a comment. I'll interact with every single comment that you send me, I promise. So if you like it, subscribe to us. Share it out with your friends. Join us every week. We're going to have a new video out. Sometimes you'll see me doing things like this, putting together a piece of equipment. You may see me working on weed eaters, all different chainsaws, different types of things. But then you're going to see me going out and actually using them out in the countryside, mowing grass, restoring old properties back together, working on homesteads, working on an old Dodge Power Wagon. You're going to see me in caves, at rivers. You're going to see me out in the pasture with my cows, things of that nature. You're just going to see us out doing many things. So hang with us. I appreciate you for watching. Hit the subscribe button. I do love you. Love your neighbor. And we'll talk to you later, friends.